Morning, people. Welcome to United View. Welcome to another episode of your latest United news. I like to start with energy. I like to start with smiles and good greetings and stuff. But it's honestly what a mess. What a mess. That is the title of the show. Flex's negative Nelly. Honestly, Skyline said I literally yesterday, 24 hours ago. You lot saw. I was literally like, calm down. Our manager's doing the best he can, etc., etc. We're doing all right, and I don't know. You just get all of this stuff with Sancho and Ten Hag that actually I think is coming externally. The media are having an absolute field day. We got the injury scare with Amrabat yesterday, which apparently that's precautionary, but we'll talk about that. But there is loads to get into. Owen, you guys smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you're new. You're right. I don't need to be super negative because we've got enough negativity already. You can't let football do this.
Yes.
But it isn't a great feeling at the moment, is it, Owen?
I can tell you what's not a great feeling, Flex. Yeah, I woke up this morning. Okay, woke up, I got out of bed, and just like any other human being, I put my trousers on one leg at a time. Okay, I put my trousers on. Okay, I'm walking out of the bedroom, and I notice something's on my leg. Right, as I look down on my leg, there is a spider. There is a spider. I'm not joking. I can't really do it justice. Like this big, right? So big that when I swipe it, because I don't want to swear this early into the video and this early in the morning, but when I swipe it and go, oh my God, this is on my leg, right? I swipe it, yeah? It's so strong that it sticks to the leg. The grippage was in, okay? I swipe it off a second time, okay? It's gone. Do you know what the worry is? Do you know what the worry is, Flex? I still have yet to find the spider. Yeah. So if you see me throughout the show this morning, because I've been doing this all morning, again, I've been like brushing stuff off me. I was making the bed and there was a feather on the pillow, and I literally, I just like squished a feather. It's a feather. It wasn't the spider. Horrible.
You gotta leave, bro. You can't be where you are. I'm being serious. You can't be in that room. It's not. You shouldn't even be on the stream.
Yeah, like just then, I felt something on my elbow. It's nothing. It's a hair.
Now I'm itching as well, man. Why did you tell? And now I'm doing my spider check. Why did you have to tell me that?
Because it was traumatizing this morning, and I don't like spiders. I'm not very good with that. Flex is worse with anything. Creepy crawlies. Flex is the worst. But like spiders are my top thing. Oh, it was horrible.
I can't. I'm itching now, man.
Me too.
For God's sake. Why did you have to do that?
Because I like to share my life with all of you guys. You're like family.
You could have done it at the end, man.
Oh, that's brilliant. Arachnoflexia.
Oh, don't even put them two things together, man. Imran, why would you do that? Oh, mate, honestly,
Should we
why
move
have you
on?
done that? Well, you can. I hate them.
Yeah, it was big as well. It was big, and it was on the leg. So it must have meant that it was on the. I've got my sort of Under Armour jogging bottoms on. They must have been on that and sort of waiting for me to put them on for it to be there.
Mate, listen, bro.
Ahmad with the super chat says, Owen, it's on your ear. These are my headphones. It's not that. Could you imagine? Yeah.
Like I said, when I saw the one on Josh's pillow when we was in Barcelona, that was it. That was it. That was it.
As Marcel would say, a trilantula.
To be fair, we did need something to break it up, actually.
Yeah, well, now into the story. Do you want me to start, Flex?
Owen, I mean, yeah, there's a lot here, isn't there? Because
there is a lot.
The media are having a field day, and I think there's a misconception between, some people are like, you lot were even talking about Sancho, or there's a misconception between talking about what actually happened out in public as fact, and now the media are using that to do all kinds of things. Let's get into it. I'm not
Right.
happy
So
this morning.
there's a few different articles when it comes to this. The first comes from Rob Dawson yesterday from ESPN, who said that Erik Ten Hag is expected to come down hard on Jadon Sancho for what he will view as a challenge to his authority after the player's statement on Sunday. Ten Hag and his coaching staff feel particularly let down by Jadon Sancho after believing they went to extraordinary measures to help him last season. Sources around Manchester United, and this is where it gets really stupid and ridiculous, but let's just get through the articles and we can circle back to this.
Yeah.
So sources around Manchester United describe Jadon Sancho as a complicated character. On occasion, he can be loud and extroverted, but he can also be very reserved. Some staff members find Sancho to be rude and withdrawn, while others describe his demeanour as simply being shy. That was one part. So they've already kind of started to try and slander Jadon Sancho's character. But then last night, Sammy Mockable from the Daily Mail went with this, I mean, pretty strong accusation, to be honest, saying that Manchester United were not cleared to go public with Jadon Sancho's fight against mental health difficulties last season. In December 2022, Erik Ten Hag revealed in a press conference that Sancho would be unavailable for a period of time due to, quote, physical and mental factors as the attacker battled injury. United did not obtain permission to publicly confirm that his mental state was suffering. So again, you go, that's pretty serious. It continues by saying sources close to Manchester United insist Ten Hag, who did not specifically use the term mental health, believed he was being supportive of Jadon Sancho in the aforementioned comments and continued to speak supportively of the player during his absence. Sources close to Manchester United feel it would have been difficult to explain the long absence as solely injury related when that wasn't the case when they revealed his mental health struggles without permission in December 2022. Ten Hag also believes physical and mental fitness are linked with a requirement to be able to play in both elite level football. There were also concerns that not providing an explanation would have created unnecessary speculation regarding the reasons linked to his absence. Now, Flex, what a load of rubbish. Now, I will speak for myself first here because I've prepared a response with this. I put it on social media last night. I don't take back the things that I was saying about Jadon Sancho a couple of days ago when I don't think it was the right call for him to release that statement. I do look at different incidents that he has had over the last several years with different managers at different clubs or different setups saying similar things about him. You know, whether it's Erik Ten Hag, whether it's Borussia Dortmund, whether it's Gareth Southgate, whether it's Pep Guardiola. And you would say, well, there seems to be something there with that one. Where I draw the line is what I think is sort of slandering the character or putting down the character of Jadon Sancho. When I saw that first bit yesterday, that's talking about him. You know, some people say he's loud and extroverted. Some people say he's reserved. Some people think he's rude, whereas some people just think he's shy. What is the point of even putting that bit out there? There is no point apart from trying to put someone down. There was another part of it which I didn't read out, where there was a story about when he was at an event you were at last year, the kit launch in Melbourne, and the thing was, oh, he didn't want to be asked many questions during that, as if again he's this aloof, rude person that doesn't want to talk to people. And I thought that's absolutely disgraceful. And then when it came to the piece last night, that accusing Manchester United and Erik Ten Hag of basically revealing someone's confidential medical records against his will without permission in the media, I thought was nonsense. And I thought this is why you have to hold the media to account with stuff like this, because what people won't do in this instance is go back and actually look at what Erik Ten Hag said. What did he actually say in that instance? Because most people will read that and go, that's terrible, Manchester United, awful. But what did he actually say? And I've got the full transcript in front of me, and I will read it out, even though it's a bit long, because it's important. Because he actually said, and I quote, and this is from not December 2022, it's from January of this year, actually. So again, the dates aren't even right. But this is what he said, Ten Hag. He said, quote, in this moment, he is not fit enough. It's physical, but physical is also the connection with mental. But I think he is now making good progress on the physical parts, and that will help him. I hope he can return quickly, but I can't say a duration of how long it will be. I would like to have Jadon back as soon as possible. But also in this, I can't force this process, and so I will do everything that's in my power. But some processes you can't force, and this is one of them. I have to also show patience, although I don't have the patience because, yeah, you are right. We have a lack of opportunities in the front line. players who are available and capable to contribute in the Premier League. Jadon is one. When he is fit, he will contribute, and then we will have an extra option, and so we will have more chance of winning a lot of games. We have some hurdles to take, but I think he's in a good direction. And what I say, I can't force this process, so I don't do it. But I would be really happy when he returns to the squad for team training. So that will be the next step. This was in the Netherlands, but also the process could have been in England as well. But the good thing is he's back at Carrington, and that shows he's making progress and he's ready for the next step. I think many top athletes in football, also in other sports, sometimes it's good to go away from the place you're at daily to get a new vibe and a new experience. People have a different approach, and this can give you the right push to get back on track. Football players aren't robots. No one is the same. I think for everyone, you need an individual approach. We thought that in cooperation with Jadon, it was the best choice. So at no point there does he say that he's having these mental health battles. He never uses the term mental health. In fact, he says it's a physical injury, and he just says, well, if you've got a physical problem, it's led to everything. Of course, it can get you down or whatever. So don't go out in the media and say that he sort of spilled the guts about Jadon Sancho's condition when clearly he did not. That is just openly spreading lies. And wouldn't you know it, it's an international break flex. What have they got to do? They've got this story and they're getting as much mileage out of it as possible. And again, I wasn't on board with what Jadon Sancho did at the weekend, but I'm certainly not on board for trying to sort of put down someone's character, and certainly not on board for accusing Erik Ten Hag of doing things that he didn't do when there's actual video and written evidence that he didn't do that. Nonsense. Back to you, Flex.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's well said, and it's not something that's particularly hard to do, is it? Like, it took you probably a couple of minutes to go and get the quotes from that time. And I remember when that happened, and this is why you got to be onto the media in these situations. When that happened, I don't think there was one Man United fan that wasn't behind Jadon Sancho. When it became apparent that he'd been sent away. When actually, I remember that press conference. I remember when he spoke like that, I went, yeah, that's why we can't really go in on this. We have no idea what's going on in Jadon's life, with mental health issues, at an all-time high, with people who struggle to speak about mental health, and all of the things that go with it. We have no idea what's going on in Jadon Sancho's life, and the fact that he's actually had to go away from Carrington and the manager's actually had to address this, that means something maybe quite serious is going on in his life. Remember when Jesse Lingard done his is it Stephen Bartlett?
Diary of a CEO. Yeah.
Diary of a CEO. And he explained the point of what was going on in his home life with his mum, with him having to look after his siblings. And yeah, Jesse's, was painted as the party guy. He wasn't really doing it on the pitch. And I'm not excusing his performances on the pitch, but in terms of what was going on in his life, what he was contending with, these things happen all the time in society, by the way, not just at elite level football. So when Ten Hag supported Sancho, because that's how I saw that was support of him and the words he used, everybody thought, you know what, Ten Hag, you've really played this well. I remember doing shows at the time saying, one, we hope Jadon's all right, but from a managerial point of view, I think he's handled this absolutely spot on, because what he's done is showed that, one, if you're not up to it, you're not just going to be kept around and kept in the squad just because you're a big name or you're a big stature or you've got a big transfer fee. There's standards that you've got to adhere to. But on top of that, more importantly, you're going to be treated as a human being. I'm going to help you. There's going to be a plan of how to help this situation, how to reintegrate you back as quickly as possible. And there was so much support from him. I remember one of his first games back, I remember when he was first in the squad, and there was a lot of cheers and a lot of people online were backing him. And none of this stuff was there in the media. How all of a sudden it's taken, back to what's happened after the Arsenal game, which this is exactly why I didn't want it to be played out in public. How after that have the media come to the conclusion of now trying to go back to one of what potentially is one of the original sources of where this has come from, where Jadon could still be struggling from then, I don't know, and try and paint it out that Erik Ten Hag and Man United were in the wrong from the jump. So when Man United fans were asking for Jadon Sancho to start the first couple of games of the season, etc., where was your report then? When Erik Ten Hag, had something as massive as that and had to address that situation last year January, or was it this year January? This year January it would have been, wouldn't it? Yeah, because it was back end of the World Cup. This year January, etc. Where was the articles then? Where were the articles saying Jane's shy, but he's extrovert, but sometimes he's hyper, but sometimes he's not? Breaking news. That means he's a normal person then with feelings, and sometimes he's on it, sometimes he's not. If you could describe any single one of us, you can't just have a blanket thing of this person is always this person is always that. Everyone's unique. And when you start going after people's character, like you said, and trying to say that sometimes he's a bit shy, some people just see it as he's rude. Well,
Or some
also
people don't like him. That's
also
life.
guess what? That's also human beings. That's
Yeah.
also human beings. I could put a comedian on the telly, or an actor or an actress or a singer or a rapper or whoever, a radio presenter. Us. What do you think of so and so? You could ask 100 people, and 100 people, of 100 people, 25 might say, can't stand Flex. I think he's arrogant. I think he's fake. I just don't think he's a sincere guy. I don't like him. Another 25 could say, I quite enjoy his content. Yeah, he's honest, he's this, he's that. Another 25 could say, I'm a bit indifferent. I find him a bit, don't really know how to take him. What my point is that out of 100 people, there are people who could have varying different opinions on you as a person and your attributes as a person, your characteristics, as a person. That doesn't make you a bad person. That's a them issue. If they
and also
interpret
as well, to your point with that, is you're right. There are going to be people that feel a certain way about you, and people are going to feel another way. And what basically is happening in those articles is they are cherry picking those negative ones, because guess what? They've put their finger up to the wind and gone, okay, this is the way of Sancho sentiment at the moment. So this is going to be better. This is going to get more clicks. It's going to get more engagement. I mean, the very same outlet, Flex, the one that said last night, we've got, United releasing it against Jadon Sancho, or without the permission, rather. Ian Ladyman, again, this comes from the Daily Mail on the 9th of February, 2023. So just after Sancho came back, the headline says this: Erik Ten Hag's honesty pays off over Jadon Sancho's Man United absence on and off the pitch with his equaliser against Leeds. It's a relief that there remains room for some common sense and kindness in modern football. So what we've gone from is common sense and kindness to they've done it against his wishes. It's disgraceful in the case of a couple of months. And that's when you sort of go, like I said earlier on, don't get me wrong. I look at what happened on Sunday with the releasing of the statement. And you could even argue, or some people, I don't agree with this, but some people will say Erik Ten Hag shouldn't have said anything when he got asked in the press conference, whatever. But what's happened now is that it's gone over the line on both fronts. They're attacking Jadon Sancho's character and personality, and also they're attacking Erik Ten Hag, and they're attacking Manchester United when it comes to all of this, because again, there's nothing else to talk about when it comes to United apart from negative stuff. And you have to see it for what it is and go, that's not on. That's not right.
On. It's not on. And remember when, right? Remember before we got Ten Hag, and I said it on so many shows, and we discussed this as a community on so many shows. We said that look at the leaks in the dressing room, right? That happened under Ralph Rangnick and back end of Ollie, and when it was all carnage, you had Fred coming out defending himself about something. Can't remember what that was. You had Rashford defending himself about something. I think Jesse Lingard, Maguire had to. They were all at it, and we went, this is a free-for-all. Look at the state of us. And in some respects, Manchester United as a club, don't even get me started, has not got much better in terms of the circus that's going on and the people who've been making decisions at this football club. It's been absolutely disgusting. But in terms of Erik Ten Hag as an individual, what he did do was bring some standards and bring some decorum. Now it's come out that it's still seeping through those old situations where things are spoken about in public. I get that. But what we spoke about was when the media hounds come, they will come. They will come, and when something bad happens, I can't remember what show it was. You're the receipt king, Owen, but I remember talking about this loads on many shows before Erik Ten Hag actually got here. And then when he got here, when it was like before he'd even played a game, all the shows were like, we have to stick together, because it is the same with Man United all the time, whether it's on Sky Sports, whether it's on BT, whether it's on BBC, whatever it is. Negativity around Manchester United sells. The negativity that has been around Manchester United, by the way, I'm not shying away from that. That is absolutely deserved. Not. And you know what I'm talking about.
Issue.
Exactly. So I don't want my words to be misconstrued here. The criticism that has needed to be said about Manchester United regarding dealing with the issues we've had to deal with has been absolutely just. And it's disgusting, even through to where Manchester United had to apologise yesterday for letting somebody who served time, who was our women's coach, come back into the building as a special guest. Disgusting. And the people making them decisions should be ashamed of themselves. And it makes you embarrassed to support this club at times. On this particular issue, though, this is what the media do. They use other factual situations that are going on that we absolutely deserve to be criticised for, and apply it across the board. That isn't fair on Eric Ten Hag. That isn't fair on Jadon Sancho. It isn't. And us as fans are in the middle of this emotionally, where all of this reporting that happens is somewhat wishy-washy, and it's all PR. It's all an attempt to jump on, you know, the brand of Manchester United, and sell stories and sell articles. And like Owen always says, sometimes the truth is somewhere in the middle when you're sifting for gold, but you have to see this for what it is. We said when these things happen, and the media will come, they will come, and they are piling in. They are piling in on both the club, the manager, should I say, and Jadon Sancho. And it's not fair. It can be correct what we said about Jadon Sancho, because I agree with you, Owen. I stand by what I said. I did give Eric Ten Hag a little bit of criticism, a little bit, because I was like, people said I was sitting on the fence.
You're a bit different to me on this one, weren't you?
Yeah, people said I was sitting on the fence, but I genuinely can see this from both sides. I genuinely could, and that's why it was the most on the fence I could ever have been. For every sort of situation you label at Ten Hag's doorstep, you look at Sancho's response, and there's an equal to or greater than situation going on there, like a counterbalance. So I literally did see it like that. Some people have made up their minds and said, you know, he doesn't do anything anyway. He's too passive. He hasn't got the heart for it. People have said this about Jadon before. He should never do that to the manager. He can't play for us again. Some people went all the way that side. Some people on the other side went, you shouldn't dig out your players in public. It doesn't help anyone. Why has Eric Ten Hag done this? Jadon Sancho's got every right to defend himself if he thinks the manager's lying. It's literally, these things cause a multitude of different responses from people. We're all different. But I do stand by everything I said in my reaction to this situation, which was, could Ten Hag have maybe avoided that? Yes. But actually, when I do think about that, now I've had time to stew on it, if he said he was injured and he's not injured, Sancho probably would have done the same thing. If he said he was ill, and Sancho's he going, I'm not ill, I'm not on antibiotics, like, I'm not ill. And why are you lying about me? Saying that basically I'm ill and I'm not. Saying that I've picked up an injury and I'm not. I'm ready to play. You're the one lying. So Ten Hag was damned if he did, damned if he didn't.
I think the Ralph Rangnick Martial one was similar, when it was kind of like he said he didn't want to play, or there was, I vividly recall one, the chat might be able to let me know where, and we have seen instances, maybe not even at United, but at other clubs in the past, where a manager comes out and goes, he's injured, and the player comes out and goes, I'm not injured. I'm not injured. I think maybe a learning from all of this would be, and look, Ten Hag's still somewhat learning on the job. He's never been a manager of the size of the club of Manchester United. Is that moving forward, they'll be like, don't give the media a chance. You know what I mean? Because that's what they're like. I mean, Eric Ten Hag's got a pretty good relationship with the media. And we've seen his interactions with the journalists, knows them by first names, given them gifts and all that kind of stuff. But make no mistake, the very moment they see a little perceived bit of weakness, they will be on you. They will throw you under the bus. They will defame your character. They will say everything. They will have all of these quotes that they've had in their back pocket for months and weeks and years. And then they will throw them out there, and they'll throw you under the bus like they've thrown everyone else under the bus. It's Professor Alex, and they tried it with him a million times, but they couldn't do it because he just get rid of them, right? So maybe it's a case of you've got to be even more cagey with them, because otherwise they'll go at you. I mean, I've seen even Mark Ogden. I mean, going back to the Jadon Sancho thing, it's what Mark Ogden's written about Jadon Sancho this morning. This is what he said. I mean, again, it's really nuts when you read it out loud. So he has said, Jadon Sancho is not just facing a battle to regain the support of Eric Ten Hag following his post-Arsenal statement, but also his Manchester United teammates. One source said there is little sympathy for Jadon Sancho inside the Manchester United dressing room, saying, quote, the players have simply had enough of him. It continues by saying Manchester United players accept and respect Eric Ten Hag's firm approach because it applies without exceptions to squad members, regardless of their status. And Jadon Sancho's reaction has gone down badly within the dressing room, but it was not greeted with surprise. So basically, they're sort of saying that his teammates aren't happy with him, but they're not shocked. And again, it's one of those ones whereby, look, there might be an element of truth when it comes to that. I'm sure, like us fans, again, what was my initial reaction when I read it was, fuck, what are you doing, man? Don't do that. you know, and they know him better than we or you know Jadon Sancho. We don't know him on a personal level. They do, or at the very least a professional level. So they might be like, oh, come on, why did he do that? Or oh, it's typical of him like that. But you know, now the narrative out there, they've already said the media's now already creating a divide, not only between the manager, but also between the player and his teammates as well.
That's what I'm saying. They're piling in on that. They're having a field day with this.
And as a player, if you're Jadon Sancho, or if you're any player realistically at United now, you'll look at that, and because this will be some people's reaction too when they see all of these stories, is they'll go, where are they coming from?
Yeah.
Are these being plucked out of thin air?
Who's told Mark Ogden that? Because these are big journalists, and even if we don't agree with what they say and we don't particularly like what they say, these journalists have, you know, do have sources. I speak to a lot of journalists. No, what I have learned, I'm not a proper journalist, not at all. But and I think a lot of journalists are used.
Oh, I think we're back. We're back. Don't know what happened.
We're back. That was weird. Gremlin's just got in the
because
system.
it wasn't an internet thing. So I was chatting to Flex the whole time.
Yeah. Virgin Media settings.
Yeah. Do you know what it is? I think it is. It's an OBS thing, because usually when you disconnect, it will tell you how much you've disconnected for, blah, blah, blah. And it just kind of comes back.
Just went, okay.
Yeah.
Weird. I completely forgot where I was.
Oh, wow.
Mark Ogden. Oh, yeah. Our worlds are parallel. That was it. I was saying, who's he getting this from? That was what I was saying. What I've learned about being in this space, and as this space is developing, when I first started doing this, content creators and fan channels and, you know, people like us, you know, Stretford Paddock, United Stand, AFTV, City Extra, Matty Renton, whoever it is, all the great content creators out there would not be anywhere near, you know, sort of journos and, you know, media and you know, I'm really proud and pleased that, you know, I've been part of many people help undo that, you know, and change that landscape. And what I have learned is when you're with Alice talks football as well. She's doing really well. What I have learned is when you speak to journalists and stuff, they do have sources in the club or people close to things. They do.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean that everything they always say is true. Everything they write is true.
You know what I mean?
A player,
or manager.
But I've seen, you know, they speak to a lot of people around the club, a lot of staff. They might have people who used to work at the club who now know someone who does. It's a chain. They do have sources. So sometimes there is a lot of substance to what they say. Again, doesn't mean everything's true. So that's why I'm like, and also if you work for big publications, you can't just always just make things up. I know some publications are a bit of an exception to that, but if you're a decent journalist and a reputable journalist who want to maintain some sort of a working relationship with Man United, you know, you have to have something there, you know, and that's what worries me. Who's told Mark Ogden that? Where's he getting that from?
Yeah.
You know?
And the problem is like you said, it can come from anywhere. You know, yes, it could come from directly from a player himself inside the dressing room, or it can come from someone as peripheral as, you know, Jadon Sancho's agent's best friend's cousin's sister. You know what I mean? It can come like it could genuinely come from anywhere. And that's why with all of this kind of stuff, you do have to have an element of critical thinking. You do have to have an element of, okay, what I'm reading, does this make sense? Or what do I think ulterior motives are involved in this? You know, they can go in many different directions.
Yeah, there's quite a few super chats here. Owen says, well, you read this one earlier, but we'll read it again anyway from the top. Ahmed said, Owen, it's in your ear, talking about the spider earlier on. Game Fanatic says, Flex and Owen, I'm broken as a supporter. I'm ready to go scorched earth to get the Glazers out. Relegation fight, let's go. Descendant of the first crack here. It says, well, been a member for 14 months, by the way. Says Owen, Owen is just Owen, it's just Wan-Bissaka looking for things to do during the international break in your room. Gremlins are in the system.
And now it's back. We're connected again.
Yeah, excellent connection. Weird. Really weird.
Yeah.
I don't know what's happening, guys. No. It's really weird. But thank you all for staying, though. They've got over 2,000 people watching.
Yeah.
And 227 likes. So like the stream for it returning.
It's broken.
Like it to get it back up again.
Yeah.
Because all of a sudden it's moving mad. I don't know why. We ain't leaving, says Bammy Rich. Exactly, we're not. So big up to you guys. But Aminor says, do I think Sancho could become the next Dele Alli? Look, we saw Dele Alli's circumstances be revealed with Gary Neville and what he's been through in his life. So could be a completely different situation there. But I just hope Sancho can get back on track, as do I hope Dele Alli can as well. Mati Falu says Eric calls out Sancho in public, but Anthony plays no matter what. Make it make sense. Manager is not innocent in this. Should have been dealt in house. Yes, but like I said, the reason why he's picking this isn't to do with performance. This is to do with even being in a fit state to train, to be considered for selection, according to Eric Ten Hag. Am I right in saying that, Owen?
Well, he's just saying, he said training performance.
Wasn't
That was the words
Yeah,
that he
and it was only this week
cited.
as well, because
Yeah,
he's been
that
in the
was what
match
he
day squads.
cited.
Only last week against Forest when we came
Yeah.
back, he was in the squad. Against Spurs, he was in the squad. Against Wolves, he was in the squad. Something has happened drastically within this week, which was what my question was how bad could his training have got? What happened in that week? Because
And again,
it's
it
not
might
like,
be,
and he was used in pre-season where we're thinking, hang on a minute, Sancho's
and it
looking
might
like
have,
he's coming up.
it might have been as well. We mentioned before that Eric Ten Hag dropped Marcus Rashford for being a minute late to a team meeting, right? And yes, he still made the squad and he still came on the squad. I understand that, but it might be something as small as, you know, one day he was late to training, or the first day he was late to, like, we don't know the circumstances
know
of
what
what
it
Eric
is,
Ten
yeah.
Hag. So it might be, and again, considering that it could be something that small that has led to something this big. I'll go back to it. Might be sort of a learning curve for some people within Manchester United, with Eric Ten Hag and others, to be like, okay, if we're asked in the past, let's not give the media the chance, because you know, and they wouldn't have envisaged the week that has happened since then, because there's been a lot, realistically, hasn't there? You know, with all of the other stuff too. So if to me, the more I think about it as well, it does feel like something that started small, that's just gradually got bigger and bigger and bigger and more overblown and overblown and overblown. And after the super chat, actually, I think a good thing to discuss is like, how does it get resolved? What's the next step to fix all of this? You know what I mean? What do they do? What does Ten Hag do? What does Sancho do? What do Man United do to kind of fix this?
And Ben Jacobs is talking about, obviously, which we didn't really talk about, which was the late sort of surge from Saudi Arabia with Al Ettifaq, trying to get Jadon Sancho, and Man United, you know, being open to that, but it basically wasn't able to be done. Let's continue with them super chats there. Avi says, "Morning, guys. Did you hear the Anthony news?" Yes, did. But like we said, when there's an official capacity of talking about the Anthony situation, which I have reiterated, I know you've put in a super chat there. But yes, when we get more news on an official capacity, just the same way it was with Mason Greenwood, whenever the club speaks in official capacity, or the police forces or other organizations that are officially involved with this, we'll talk about it then. David G says, is it easier to single out a player's training performance than singling out a player's on-field performance? Anthony hasn't been great, but not criticised. And George says, the freezing part highlights United's issues so far. It definitely does. And Ronald says, this is a character assassination by the media with possibly info from this circus of our club. It's disgusting. And Team Nathan says, his training isn't the problem. There clearly has been a disagreement. Eric answered after the loss, which in turn he gave an emotional response. Hashtag UV fam. Just on that quickly, Nathan, I thought that at the start. You know, it's an emotional response. Maybe, you know, he's angry, we just lost and it's in the moment. But when you really watch it back, it's like, I don't know what more he could say. Like,
Exactly.
this is what I said he could lie. I said he could lie and say, I said, why didn't you just say he picked up a knock? Why didn't you say he picked up an illness? But clearly the mood that Jadon Sancho was in, as we can see, because something's gone on, whatever he would have said, because it wasn't going to be the truth according to Jadon Sancho, it looked like Jadon Sancho would have clapped back. I feel like Jadon Sancho would have said, stop lying. I haven't got a cold. I'm not ill. I didn't tell you I was ill. There's other reasons that I can't go into. Stop lying. I'm not injured. I'm as fit as a fiddle. There's other reasons which I can't go into. I feel like Jadon Sancho's response was always going to be this, unless Ten Hag came out and said whatever this supposed real reason is.
And also, this is why
okay, unavailable. Sorry, just quickly. Lux feels. Yeah, he said he could have just said he's unavailable. But then even
that's so vague. He says, people would go, why? Why is he unavailable?
Why? And Sancho himself's going to say, don't say I'm unavailable.
I'm available. I am available. You know what I mean? So I think
it was a lose-lose for Ten Hag, man.
This is, I think with this is why and this was something we mentioned at the time, those that were around or close to Jadon Sancho, who were advising him about putting that post out. I mean, maybe he didn't ask, maybe he didn't talk to anyone, maybe he just did it. He could have. But this is why you'd have said, those people that were close to him should have said, like, don't do it, wait until the morning or what have you, because you get stuff like this. The media latch on it and it leads to something else. It leads to something worse. Because had Jadon Sancho, and I'm not saying this is all Jadon Sancho's fault, but you would look to those people, if you were close to Jadon Sancho, go, look, because it's become a bigger thing because of your response, you've now got these people writing articles that very well may be bullshit about you. And again, trying to sort of character assassinate you, saying that you're lazy, saying that you're rude, saying that you're withdrawn, saying that you're all this kind of stuff. And had you not reacted in the way that you reacted, you could have, privately confronted Ten Hag, you could have hashed it out or whatever. It wouldn't have become an issue like it's become now. And again, that's not to say, this is all Jadon Sancho's fault, but sometimes we've all been there. When you sort of you see something on Twitter or whatever, and you type, we've done it. Me and you have spoken about this before. Where you type something out and you go, nah, can't be bothered, because you sort of think 3 or 4 steps ahead, don't you? And you go, it's not worth it. Like, it's just going to lead to, I can't be bothered with the back and forth. And this is on a much, much bigger level at this point. But I think, again, a learning lesson should be with this kind of thing is just, just keep it in house. Don't give the media a chance. And that's kind of what it is at the moment. And it's crazy. I mean, just going forward, what do you think the way to resolve it is? How do you think it's resolved? Jadon Sancho's not going anywhere. He spoke about the Saudi thing yesterday. It was a story for maybe a couple of hours. And then Ornstein Romana came out and said, nah, it's not happening. Yeah. Where do you think it goes? Do you think we get like a public apology from Sancho? Do you think we get nothing and then just the next press conference, Ten Hag says it's resolved, it's done? Do you think Jadon Sancho's not in the squad for like 2 weeks? Like, because it has to be a resolution. It doesn't just go away by itself.
I think Ten Hag will have to, if he's gonna. Let's just talk about footballing reasons now, right? Firstly, because there's obviously going to be personal reasons here. Actually, no, let's do both. If this is something deeper, again, where Sancho does need some time off and he may be struggling with his mental health or could be struggling with something to do personally with his family. If this is another repeat episode of what happened the first time, then first and foremost, they need to find a way to help him. Because as a football manager, Ten Hag's got to deal with both, right? You've got to deal with the human being and you've got to deal with the football player, and you have to deal with being a manager. So obviously Jadon Sancho is really angry here, though. So this doesn't really feel like that. But if it is, they need to find a way to help him. He needs to speak to the right people, speak to people at the club, people outside of the club, the people around him, and he needs help with Ten Hag on how to be reintegrated. From a footballing perspective, though, Ten Hag does still need to set a precedence. And he's done it every single time somebody has messed up. He did it with Ronaldo, spoke about his conduct once, then it happened again, you strike. That's what happened. He was banned for 2 games, I think it was. Then he was back into the squad, line under it. Then we all know how it ended, or how it was going to end, and it did end like that. Marcus Rashford, don't care if it was 45 minutes late. It happened. You set the precedence. We all went through what the fine list was. Maybe it was, if you're this much late, you miss a half, or you're on the bench. If it's this late, then you're out the squad. We don't know, but I can imagine there are clear outlines, clear guidelines to how you should conduct yourself, right? So that's that. With this, there has to be some form of consequence from Ten Hag and the club, because they can't set a precedence that makes other players in that dressing room think that if something goes on, I can go on social media and say that against my employers and my manager, and it's okay. You can't have that. Even though there's caveats, there's personal issues going on, and he needs help with those, but you cannot allow that to happen at the football club. If you don't nip that in the bud and carry on what he's been doing, every layer, every domino he's been, stack of Lego he's been putting up, mega blocks as they are, would just collapse, and you got to start again. So there needs to be a period, I think. Deal with it quickly. If you're going to fine him 2 weeks' wages, fine him 2 weeks' wages. Get him to apologise and say you're not in the match day squad until a couple of weeks. But the problem that we've got with this one is that the reason he's not in the match day squad is Erik ten Hag saying he ain't up to it. It's not even like he's fit, but you did something wrong, so your punishment is you ain't playing. Sancho, according to Ten Hag, isn't up to it physically.
Well, he's not even necessarily saying that. He's just saying, based on the training performance, I don't think it's appropriate to pick him, is essentially what he was saying.
But only last week he was in the team, so it can't be that far off fitness.
Yeah,
That must mean actually your punishment this week is not being in the squad because you took the piss in training this week. Your attitude was poor and you wasn't trying.
And look, they might, look, we know how much detail it goes into with training. They have their statistics, their running statistics, all that kind of stuff. It might be a case of they're looking at this going, what's happened from last week? You're here, this week you're here. Like what happened? Or again, it might be a case of one day at training, shut up 2 hours late for no reason, and it's like, right, you're not making the squad of the week. We don't know the finer details of that. It could be anything with that, and we've seen that Ten Hag has disciplined people for very, 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 very small infractions. I think the only way to again get past this is, and I think Jadon Sancho will be punished. I think that's fairly clear with all of the articles that are coming out, that he's going to be punished somehow, some way. That's going to have to be put out there. His reaction to the punishment is going to have to be really key too. I don't know if he's gonna do like a public apology or anything like that. Maybe he will, maybe he won't.
Do you think he should? Do you think that would help?
It depends how.
I don't want him to.
It depends how genuine it came across, because you run the risk of him posting something and then people being like, "Oh, you're only doing that because people told you to do it."
Don't do it. I mean? Just don't do it.
But at the same time, if he says nothing, people will be like, well, you haven't said anything. We live in this day and age. We need the manager
to confirm. We need
the manager will say, he'll get asked.
I've had an apology. We've spoken. Yeah. He knows what he did was wrong. Move on. This needs to be handled by the manager. The whole point is that players, in my opinion, shouldn't be out here just having a running commentary of what's going on. And I know he's done that the first time, but it's like we have to learn, because you're right. All that will happen is that, it's more pressure on him. Comments of what people are saying, why you said this, it's only because Man United fined your wages, sorry because you got caught, this, that and the other. It doesn't help playing this whole thing out in public. It needs to be private. All that needs to happen is the manager needs to be in control, and then the next press conference, when it's the pre-Brighton game, it's going to be dominated by Jadon Sancho, obviously. So hopefully this should be resolved by then and they know what they're going to do, because if it comes out and he goes, I don't know yet, then it looks dodgy again. I want that press conference to be, I've spoken to him. He understands there are rules, there are principles, and we have to stick to these. And we've had a conversation, and we will be moving forward. That's all I want to hear. That's it. That's it. No Sancho putting another thing on Instagram saying
what he needs to do. He needs to delete the tweet. It's pinned on his profile still, man.
Bloody hell. See, even that, it's like, let's just have some decorum here. Is it? It's still pinned on his profile. And little things like that, yeah. Yeah, it is. Little things like that, to pin it as well, make sure it's at the top. And he hardly even tweets. Didn't even tweet it.
No, he doesn't need to pin it.
He doesn't even go on there.
He doesn't need to pin it. It's going to be the top thing.
He's not going to put nothing there. And this is what I mean. That gives off the impression. And you see, when things are on social media, now we get to say he's still standing by it. It's pinned to the top of your thing, mate.
Isn't it? It's
like doubling down. You ain't taking it down. So, and essentially, if he does take it down and then say nothing, we'll be talking about that too. If there's any movement on that now, we're gonna question it. Like, say he took it down today. I tell you what, he's taking it down. He's sorry. He's realised.
But like you said, Flex, the problem is that he doesn't post that much. So even if it's all resolved and it's sorted, like 3 weeks time, it still might be the last thing he posted. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But if you take it down, it makes people talk about it again.
Yeah, but it's a talkative topic. It's a talkative issue.
What happens,
you know what I mean?
when you've got 2.3 million followers on Twitter,
and it goes back to, this is why don't put it out there in the first place. Just
there you go.
Don't do it, because it's just gonna. Flex, honestly.
It's bad, isn't it? It's bad. Yeah. You can't catch a break, mate.
What's also bad is the amount of likes on their stream. We've got nearly 2,300 people watching, around sort of 300. I know it's been an up and down one. I know it's a tough time right now, but if you haven't already, click the like button and be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. Do we have any more super chats, Fleck?
We do have one more. Avi says, when is Amrabat back? I think Anthony won't play. And the centre of the first crackhead says, yeah, it's pinned, but look at his profile picture. His profile picture is still, is it still of Man United? Yeah. Oh, it's him and Eric. Did that change?
I think
it's always change? It's always been that.
But if he changed,
and this is what happens,
then that's when you get into like, oh my god. But let's talk about something more positive, Flex. Sofyan Amrabat might be injured. Oh, an injury scare for Sofyan Amrabat. I literally sent this to Flex last night, and he went, for F's sake, end the season. Well, unfortunately, it's not too bad, hopefully. Now, news broke last night that Sofiane Amrabat had withdrawn from the Morocco national team squad due to injury. And actually came from the Moroccan Football Federation themselves. They said the national team coach has summoned the player Yahya Jareen to replace the injured Sofiane Amrabat, but it was later reported that this was just a precautionary measure. The manager had decided to allow Amrabat to go back to Manchester United, heal up, recuperate, and make sure he was 100% and fighting fit for his new Manchester United adventure. So it looks like it's just a precautionary thing, Flex. Maybe there was something more into those reports from The Athletic when they reported that he had a minor back issue. It might have been a case of that. We don't know. That maybe the back issue was kind of there, and he thought, it's not too bad. I'll go on international duty. When he was on international duty, he was a little bit like, it's a bit, and rightfully so, by the way. The Moroccan manager has gone, no point. Like, don't be here. Don't risk it. Yeah. Go back to Manchester United. Make sure you're fully ready, fully recovered. You know, you had a very disjointed preseason as well, because you weren't playing that much for Fiorentina. You'd isolated yourself from the squad to make sure you got this move, etc. So go back there, make sure you're ready. So thankfully, it looks like it's just a bit of a scare. But very much you were scared indeed last night, Flex, when that got sent to you.
Yeah, I mean, I think I tweeted like loads of laughing emojis first, not because I'm happy he's injured, because I just thought,
Typical.
Laugh you cry. I just thought, what, honestly. And then I said, yeah, just end the season. It's like, it's just so, we just can't catch a break, can we, really, from anything? And we're not trying to get the sympathy card from other fan bases, because you're never going to get it as Man United. We're Man United. Everybody hates us. So we can deal with that. But together here in our community, we can all agree. Pause again. No, we're not. We can all agree that we just cannot catch a break. Really, can we? It's just never ending, from the playing squad to off the field to the hierarchy to the takeover to results. Like it just feels like you can't catch a break right now. So when I saw that, I was like, please, no, just no. Why? But luckily, well, hopefully it is precautionary. I really do hope it is. Because I was only saying yesterday that the international break, for our players coming back who have had disjointed pre-season / a few injuries, but they're fit again, the international break can actually come at a good time. Look at Rasmus Højlund, played half an hour last night, half an hour at the Emirates. They got another game.
I think.
Oh, yeah, he did with right foot, yeah. Hopefully he could play half an hour or maybe a little bit more, maybe a half in the next one. And then he gets back ready for Brighton, and it's like, right, hopefully he can play 90 minutes or definitely start and hopefully complete the game. If not, play 70 minutes or something like that. Bring Martial on for 20 or whatever needs to happen against Brighton. Build him up. So that's where the international break can actually work in your favour, because if we had a game tomorrow now and he's only played half an hour at the Emirates, he's only going to be able to manage half an hour again, then half an hour again in the league. And it's like, the games are ticking by, mate. We're struggling. We need you. So that's good. And the same with Amrabat. Let's face it, the guy waited until deadline day to sign with us. Wasn't even in the match day squads at Fiorentina. Weren't in the pre-season. So what sort of pre-season has he had? His preparation's been poor. So him going away with Morocco as well, when people go back to their country as well, they're a lot more comfortable. They love it, don't they? It's a great environment usually.
Yeah.
Most national team camps are really harmonious. It's all your countrymen, isn't it? So it's a great environment to be in. So, and they got I think they had one game, one friendly, and I looked at the level of opposition, was like, bloody hell, we should be getting a nice little, nice little stroll about the park there, get his fitness up. So it would have been great. But if it's precautionary, then we don't know the level of that injury, and great, maybe they can get him back going. But
we're gonna need him. We're gonna need him. Flex. Look at the games. I mean, Brighton, Bayern Munich, they're Amrabat games.
Yeah, they are.
But
the fact that he hasn't gone and played there now, that's probably set him back again, though. Do you know what I mean?
Possibly, and again, maybe this goes back to
closed doors, maybe at home.
Yeah, maybe this goes back to the injury part of it as well, isn't it? If they said, look, if he plays, we're running a bit of a risk, and it might just be, he just needs a week, a bit like a Rasmus Højlund thing. He needs, but I don't know, but I'm certainly feeling a bit more positive about it than I was when the news first came out, certainly. And I think also as well, it goes back to, and this is why, like I saw obviously the morning show yesterday, and it's kind of similar to what I was saying on the Full View on Monday, which is I do think, I mean, obviously there's so much noise with United at the moment, so much negativity, and a lot of it is justified because some of the situations obviously are unbelievable. But in terms of on the pitch, in terms of performances, I still do think coming out of that game against Arsenal at the weekend, I know 3-1 lost the way it happened, last couple of minutes, blah, blah, blah. But I still do think, there's room for positivity in terms of how we'll perform this season, I think, because we are the problem is that we're so ill prepared for the season ahead. It's a bit like last season, isn't it? Where it took us however many games to be like, right, we're playing our strongest team now. We're playing our best team now. Because of getting signing in late, injuries, what have you. So we haven't been able to play our strongest team. We've got a lot of these injuries.
Still won't after the national break.
No, exactly. But when the time comes that we do have the majority of the people back and people are ready to play them through the door, then you go, well, again, the team's not bad. The team's all right. The hope is just you sort of the damage isn't too bad whenever that point does come. You know what I mean? Because we're gonna be playing catch up. Obviously, we are.
Well, we're already 6 points behind first.
6 points. Well, we spoke about when we started the season. We went
6 points behind already.
We said we started the season. We were like, well, we're actually at a better point than we were last season because we won our first game. We were exactly at the same point that we were at last season. We have 6 points after 4 games. But also that's a good point of reference to say to people that are saying the sky's falling, doom and gloom, because you go, well, we're at the exact same point we were last season, and we ended up finishing third, won a trophy, got to an FA Cup final. So it goes to show that, again, the season, it's over the long term. It's over 38 games plus more in all of these other competitions. And it will take time. So you can't, again, get too reactionary. I saw Flex, actually, whilst we've got like 6 minutes left. Did you see the Sky Sports comparison between David De Gea and Andre Onana? Oh my God.
I felt like trying to ring into one of the producers or message someone I know there and saying, what are you lot doing?
I could not believe it. Comparing the first 4 games from Andre Onana at Manchester United to the last 4 games of David De Gea at Manchester United. What kind of comparison is that? That is
one that's agenda driven.
Yeah, exactly. Because the point being is the stats suggest with De Gea's last 4 and Onana's first 4, United, we've made a mistake, Flex. We've bought a dud because we conceded less goals. There was more clean sheets. Yes, passes and passing accuracy has got better. But come on. And I actually did the maths. I went back and I actually looked at that. What's the comparison between the first 4 games of last season to the first 4 games of this season? You know what? Apart from passing accuracy and passes, Flex, they're exactly the same. Exactly the same. In terms of, goals conceded, in terms of clean sheets, in terms of save percentage, they're actually exactly the same. The only thing that's different is Onana's a bit ahead in terms of passes and, of course, passing accuracy. So if you were to look at those stats, you would say, actually, as of right now, it's pretty much the same as it was last season, but there's marginal gains when it comes to passing and playing out from the back, which is what Ten Hag wants. And of course, over a season, as Onana gets more used to the team, as the players get more used to Andre Onana, as all of our players come back in, because again, we've got however many defenders injured, it will get better. But that's not a good narrative to put out there, is it? That's not as black and white as, United. There is such, honestly, I've seen it since pre-season. There is such like a push on Andre Onana being this big flop.
Being rubbish. Yeah, they want it to be.
Honestly, it is so forced and so rubbish. And I'm not sitting here saying like that second goal against Arsenal, should he do better? Absolutely. Absolutely should he do better, I think. Even the deflection gets an arm to it. You go, have there been a couple of goals? That goal against Forest when he fell on his ass, and you go, come on, man. But at the same time, you're cherry picking moments. The moment he got chipped by Jude Bellingham in pre-season in that first game, since then it's been. And as fans, this is the worst thing too, is a lot of it comes from opposition fans, and we're buying in. Yeah. Let's not buy into it. Don't listen to them. Don't be swayed by them. It's just
nonsense. It's nonsense, and we know it's Man United, mate. You know what I mean? When Onana made that wicked save against Willy Bolly to keep us at 2-2. Fantastic save to his left. I didn't see one meme. I didn't see one still picture image. Oh, everyone talks about this guy's feet, but what a save with his hands. No one. There wasn't one. I didn't see it. Didn't see it at all. When he was, there isn't a obviously the penalty incident happened against Wolves, but there isn't a montage of the times he came out that game to take the pressure off us and dive on the ball, and be brave and come for aerial balls. When he created chances against with his passing against Spurs and a couple against Wolves when he pinged it out to Garnacho, there aren't these montages, there aren't these comps. You know what I mean? So the people outside the club, like it's Man United, isn't it? They've made a significant signing. They've got rid of David De Gea. They want to see whoever the guy is that they bring in ahead of De Gea. They want to see him fail. Same way Man United spent 80 million on Anthony. Everyone's going to watch intent. Can he pass the 007 test? Can he pass this? Can he, they've done it with Chelsea, Mudryk, 88 million. We kind of did it to Arsenal with Pepe. So like there's always where the rival fans want to see the respective players fail because they're big players and they want to see them fail. So like you said, we just can't buy into it. We have to just ignore that.
It's literally that one against Forest, when he falls over. And again, I'm not sitting there going, "Oh, isn't it his fault?" Because you look at it and go, "Oh, Nana, what are you doing there, mate?"
He's going to do unorthodox stuff.
I saw on Twitter after that, what's the account called? It's like Out of Context Football. They did 3 posts in a row about that. And they literally like, Onana on the floor. Then there was one of them driving a car. There's one of him because he's like sort of sat down in a seated position. Bear in mind, because that game wasn't televised. That game wasn't televised either. So they've gone out their way to find those screen grabs.
Because it sells,
at the same time, another game that wasn't televised, the Arsenal game against Fulham. What happens with their first goal they concede? Ramsdale falls on his ass. He's running around going like this, and he falls down. But it doesn't matter because it's not Man United.
But
that's when
it shows we're the biggest.
We have to look at it. I know Hayden ignored, all that kind of stuff, but that's when you look at it. But my worry is that some United fans buy into it. Some United fans buy into that and go, "Oh, actually, you know what?" And also, by the way, we just got an update on Sofian Amrabat from Manchester United. It's just popped up. There you go. New Manchester United midfielder Sofian Amrabat will not take part in Morocco's September internationals after being withdrawn from the Atlas Lions squad due to injury. The head coach has called up Yahya Gibran to replace our number 4, who will return at Carrington following his arrival from Fiorentina in a season-long loan deal on deadline day. Amrabat was unveiled as in red, blah, blah, blah. Morocco. I mean, it doesn't actually say anything.
Doesn't really say precautionary, doesn't it?
It just says that he's withdrawn due to injury and he's heading back to Carrington.
So he is injured.
Yeah, and it doesn't really say like, "Oh, it's just a precaution." Blah blah blah.
He's injured.
That's concerning.
He's injured. Change that thing from scare to Amrabat injured. Honestly, I just give up.
They literally just say, he's withdrawn due to injury, and he's going to return. He will return to work at Carrington. Yeah, I would have preferred it to say something like, not that he's fine, but it's a precautionary measure, blah blah blah. Nothing. Just goes on to say about his history with Ten Hag and who Morocco are going to play. A draw will be enough for them to play in top spot in Group K from South Africa. So
he's injured. Mate.
He was due to win his 50th cap. Talks about his international career. Not a lot about the injury, Fleck.
He's injured, mate. He's injured. Probably because they have to get him back and assess him and see where they're at as well. But he was fit enough. He was fit enough to go there and go train.
He was in light training.
Yeah, and we saw him in the videos. So they've obviously deemed him fit enough to go to international break. So the injury couldn't have been that big. I mean, C-Max says negative flex as per. Cheer up, pal. Oh, I'm going to cheer up. Let's look at the positives. They did send him out there. So he's obviously tweaked something and gone, nah, I can feel it. You know what I mean? Maybe it doesn't mean he's definitely injured. That is wrong of me to say. I shouldn't be that pessimistic. But it doesn't sound great, does it? But it still can be a precaution. It still could be. It still could be. There was reports of the injury. The fact that you did go on international break means that there's something there that you might be able to play through it. If you feel anything, just come back and we'll work on it. So maybe coming back and having a whole week here is going to help. Hope
so. So.
Matifalu says Ericsson or Amrabat for the next 2 games. Well, there's your answer.
It's easy
because even if he is back, he's not going to start in the next 2 games.
No.
And actually, just on Christian Eriksen, just put a bit of respect on his name. He's
Brilliant.
playing very well right now. Last 2
Yeah.
games, he's been fantastic, and actually doesn't deserve to lose his place. Same way when Casemiro came and Scott
Yeah.
McTominay was in his groove for about 4 games. You've got to keep things fair.
Yeah.
So Eriksen's playing very well. Ashadu says, I don't think he is. I think he's all in for Man United. What, he's just turned away from, he wanted Man United that bad. He's like, nope, I want to go back to Carrington. Don't want to play for
Going
Morocco.
back.
I don't know about that, Ash. He's a very, as
Yeah.
I saw during the World Cup, very patriotic man. They've been through a lot,
Yeah.
that Moroccan team. So any excuse to beat that, I think they would have taken. I think he just got an injury. Anyway, we are out of here. Smash a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. We did get over 500 likes. See if we can get a little bit more over that on the way out. We'll be across the Sancho situation. We'll keep you updated. If there's more on Amrabat, we will talk about that as well. And we'll see you again soon on the next show. Take care, guys. Peace.